Hello there and welcome to Ripple by IHRM, a platform that allows you to learn, grow and interact with your favorite business leaders and HR professionals. You can follow us on our social media platforms at IHRM Kenya and also visit our website www.ihrm.or.ke. My name is Irene Kimashia and I will be your host. Coming up on the show.
As a leader, you have to want the best for your team. If you feel at any point that you're always fighting your team, if it's about taking care of their bonus, of a promotion, or actually developing somebody, it's not a priority for you, then there's a problem to start with. Sometimes you go to a meeting, say a marketing meeting, and these people try to give you some marketing lingo, and try to confuse the hell out of you, you know?
Just to demonstrate
their expertise.
Yes.
So for that reason,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be at the same, wavelength, try to understand their language.
But before then, here is a tip for today. Searching for a job is always a daunting task. So here are a few things to consider when applying for a job. Proofread your resume, properly and neatly present your resume, the paragraphs, punctuations, and use the right spacing. Have the correct personal details, that is your name, your contact details, including your email address. Finally, carry out proper research. Understand the organization, its values, vision, mission, and the culture. Welcome to Ripple by IHRM, the platform where you get the opportunity to learn, grow, and interact with some of your favorite business leaders and HR professionals. My name is Irene Kimashia, and I will be your host. Today we are joined by a gentleman who gained some level of popularity on social media when he had to bid farewell to his team as he moved to his current role. We will get the opportunity to hear a little more about that. But let us welcome Mr. Joseph Chog, the Group Managing Director, Unga Group PLC. Karibu to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Irene.
We're delighted to have you here.
Pleasure is all mine.
You're no stranger to the HR community. We can start there.
Yeah.
Having been the CEO, HR Award CEO of the Year 2023.
Yeah.
2022, right?
2022, yeah.
Yes. What was that like?
I mean, it came as a surprise, but and not a surprise as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a fantastic, I think, a good icing on the cake for CEOs to emphasize the importance of people in what we do on a daily basis. So I think it was a very exciting moment for me personally and my family, and of course my team. And it was a great honor for the teams that I've managed to lead over the times that I've been a CEO or even a junior officer to where I am today.
All right.
So yeah, thank you to the IHRM for that recognition.
All right, congratulations.
Yeah.
For people who do not know you, share a little bit more about who is Joseph Chog, your line of work, how your career journey has been.
Yeah.
You're pretty young for CEO, so you started this thing early. Yeah.
I can't say it started early. I'm always telling people you have to have a clear target and a clear goal of what you want to be, where you want to be within a certain time frame. So I was very clear in my, I wanted to be a CEO by the time I turned 35.
Wow.
I actually probably hit it by slightly earlier. And that's because I wrote it down.
Wow.
Yeah?
What have I been doing with my life?
So Joseph Chog is my name. I currently lead Unga Group. Been privileged to run several other companies before. I worked at Premier Foods, like you mentioned, as the CEO at Premier Foods. Peptang is the brand. Before that, I worked for the IPS, Industrial Promotional Services. I led the telco side of business, we had operations in Uganda, Tanzania, and Burundi. That was a good stint. I enjoyed myself over there. And before that, I was actually in the telco space with Airtel Africa. So I did Airtel Africa and Airtel Gabon, among many other roles. Unilever in the junior part. So I've been a finance professional, but I've always been very keen on the people side to ensure, because I think I learned early that for you to excel as a leader, the key ingredient is actually the people. Yeah, so you take care of them, they'll take care of the rest of the things. So that's been my way of working.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm a father and a husband to a beautiful girl called Brenda and 4 kids. 12 and below.
Wow.
So kept busy. Yeah. So busy both at work and at home.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. They're the reason I grind every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for how do you get ready to be CEO at 35? What's that like? What's the plan like?
Really, you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You have to want it, and you have to ask for it. If you don't ask, you don't get. It's as simple as that. Yeah. But then again, it's it comes in both demonstrating leadership qualities early on.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be a very good communicator, for example. You have to be very good with people, you know, because now it's beyond you, it's beyond your technical expertise. It's a question of how do you as a leader bring out the best in other people. So yeah, trying to learn those things, and every day is a learning process. So I've taken the initiative to ensure that every day I try to learn something new. HR space, marketing space. How do I make myself an all-rounded person, right? So if I was to speak to a HR practitioner today, you probably specialize in a HR practice. But I ask you today, are you all-rounded to know about a P&L today? Yeah. So that's finance for non-finance, Irene. Are we trying to get into that? Are we going to the market? Are we trying to learn what the market entails? Can you sell a product? Can you actually sell an ice cream to an Eskimo? You know, those are some of the things that you need to practice as you go on.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it culminates into a holistic person, a all-rounded person that a board can actually see, can be able to drive the different facets of an organization. But key to that is people, because now you're not an expert. I'm not an expert in supply chain today. I'm not an expert in HR today. But I need to know how to bring out the best in those people that are given those opportunities to run those departments.
Yeah.
And then bringing that together and taking it home.
I've heard you describe leadership as inspiring, willing action.
Yeah.
What is that?
I normally say, as I'm here today, is my team, you know, rallied behind the vision and the cause that we're championing. So inspiring, willing action is, I don't want to be the guy that micromanages or comes to push you to be able to do what you need to do. I want you to know that you are appreciated as an employee, as a important person in the organization. Yeah, so that you just show up. You don't have to be pushed to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are motivated enough to be able to bring your full self to the place of employment, then I've done my part. Yeah. But if I have to push you, I have to micromanage you, then there's a problem. I'm not inspiring willing action from you.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we get into the details of that and the issue I talked about, your team inconsolable as you left the organization, you are a numbers guy.
Yeah.
You are a CPA, but you're also a certified marketer.
Yeah.
What are these competencies that you have had to build? Because you said, other than leading people, you have to demonstrate leadership and build the competencies.
Yeah.
Why the combination, and what other skills have you had to build?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's very important that you have an integral set of skills to be able to handle the job, right? I'm not a proponent of, you know, certificates and educations per se, because I believe even somebody who has no education can actually be a very good leader and execute well, right? We have forefathers who've done business, built great businesses without necessarily having an education or an MBA, you know, for that matter. But as I grew in my career, I asked myself, what are probably the gaps I would want to fill as I go by, you know? I want to come to a meeting. You know, sometimes you go to a meeting, say a marketing meeting, and these people try to give you some marketing lingo, and try to confuse the hell out of you, you know?
Just to demonstrate their
demonstrate their expertise.
Yes.
So for that reason,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be at the same, you know, wavelength, try to understand their language, and you know, say digital marketing is taking over as a key component. I was not very proficient with digital marketing. That's one of the reasons I actually did CIM, right? So yeah, to just add on that skill, CPS here and there, has a bit of law, has a bit of, you know, how company secretarial works, so that I know how to maneuver through the board works. Yeah, CPA for me, I actually believe everyone should do CPA. At least it's a good.
Please say that again for HR professionals.
Yes, I believe everyone should do CPA.
Yeah.
You know, because CPA comes with a bit of finance, a bit of law, a bit of analysis here and there, a bit of economics. So that for me is a recipe for anyone who wants to be a CEO, because you tend to get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You get exposure into the HR space. There's HR within the CPA, right? So if you have that, then it sort of brings out the holistic person in you. Then you add your leadership from growing up and all, and I believe you should be the full package.
You said that everybody should do CPA.
Yeah.
Then do you think everybody should be trained to do HR, especially if you're going to be a leader?
Yes. Yes. So one thing is, I personally believe that you should be a people's person innately before you even go into training in the first place. Because as a leader, you have to want the best for your team. If you feel at any point that you're always fighting with your team, if it's about taking care of their bonus, of a promotion, or actually developing somebody, it's not a priority for you, then there's a problem to start with. Yeah? And that's when I would quickly, first of all, send you to IHRM to, come and inculcate the people aspect of business on you, so that you can actually grow and know and realize the key component, the key ingredient of success in any organization is actually the people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And how has your HR team, wherever you have worked before, even currently at Unga, enabled you succeed as a CEO? And what would you want to see from other HR professionals to enable the CEO and the business succeed?
I've been really privileged and to work with very, very good HR professionals, and especially HR heads that I've worked with.
Yeah.
And especially say that my two roles. At Unga today, I have Jane. I had Joy in Peptang. Sometimes I see, you ask me the question of the accolades, people crying, what we did for the people, but it all emanated because of the support that I had from Joy on the ground. And, it's a question of how we worked together to bring out the best in people, how we took care of people. Sometimes we get overwhelmed as CEO. You run around like a headless chicken sometimes. There are times of crisis. There are times you need to be the market. There are times you need to work with authorities of the country. And there has to be someone who brings you back to the main focus, that is actually the people, and tells you, Joseph, we need to throw that birthday party for the team today. There's somebody who's been bereaved, and we need to go to a slum house somewhere in Madare. We need to visit the family. Joseph, we have to have a HR strategy. We won the HR strategy at the IHRM Awards in 2022.
Yeah.
That's not my work. That's the work of the HR team that work together to put that through. And once the strategy is in place, then execution becomes easier, and especially where there's will from the top and the leadership of the team. So really, for me, the HR heads are the make or break of how successful an organization is, because they guide the tone of how the CEO leads the organization.
What does support look like from this HR? They may be technically sound, but then how do you translate this competency into what you're looking for as CEO?
Yeah, so for me, a good HR person, first of all, has to be able to translate, the softer whatever skills and what is required into sort of a numbers perspective, so that it's easier for us to sell business cases. If you want to take people out for team building, for example, what is we need to also look at the ROI from these activities that we are doing.
What's the business case?
Yeah, what's the business case? What's the impact of what we are doing to the people?
Yeah.
We need to, for example, today I've set aside every Thursday 1 hour to just sit with my HR to know what I can get an update, what the people are doing, whether our people are safe, because safety is key, especially in a factory setting.
Yeah.
That guys are safe, no injuries and things like that. Unions, how are we relating to our unions within the organization, So I want somebody who is very proactive. They themselves are actually people driven. I call them and it came from when I was at Peptang. I called my HR hot and sweet, like the hot and sweet sauce that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at one point you're the one taking care of the people, but the other one there's the whipping hand when it comes to disciplinary issues, ensuring that things actually work out within the organization.
Yeah.
In a preferred standard manner. So yeah, hot and sweet is what I would call my HRs anytime.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice
Yeah,
one, hot
yeah,
and sweet.
yeah.
So it's a tricky balance between providing solutions, being proactive, but still keeping the business case in mind.
Correct.
All right. Let's talk about Peptang. You have mentioned it.
Yeah.
And we have seen on social media
Yeah.
a team that is inconsolable because their leader is leaving and transitioning into a new role.
Yeah.
How do you get people to respond to your leaving like that?
Yeah.
Like what kind of impact are we looking at?
Yeah. I think, so that also caught me by surprise as well, yeah? Because it was an ordinary day that I'm supposed to leave the organization for another organization.
Yeah.
So I think it was a sweet surprise coming from the team, and it was a culmination of what we built together, right? And I believe as a leader, any leader, I think you have to really connect with your teams, yeah? Come down to the team's level. I tell you, I used to go to the floor where guys would apply labels on the cans. I
bottles.
would sit with the ladies there, mamas. So I'm married to a half Luya lady in myself, and there would be sort of many Luya ladies within the floor doing the labeling, and I would go there, Bana, to say hi to my mlamuas, as we do the job. So that connection, they knew that I am one of them, and then there are things that you do connecting with the teams. How do you empathize with the guys on the ground? For example, when you sit there is when you know the nuances of what they're going through. A kid has passed very well within one of the ladies in the shop floor or the gentleman, and they don't have fees, for example, to take a kid who's probably got 400 marks in KCPE. So with that, we started a scholarship. A few kids, whoever's gotten 400 marks and above, or I think it was 350 marks and above, a certain criteria, probably within the shop floor, and we'd sponsor the kids. And it went a long way in touching the lives and changing the lives of those kids up to date.
Yeah.
Having left Premier Foods almost 3 years back, I actually get calls from those kids telling me, "Oh, I'm in fourth year now. This is how it's going. This is what I want to pursue in the university."
Yeah.
I've had those who finish universities, and parents are coming for ideas of how we can go choose courses to university and things like that. So such things. Yeah? And another thing is probably leading with empathy, keen listening to the team. I can actually be a very good active listener when guys come, and my door is always open. Anybody comes to the office, wants to chat, I would tell my PA, let them in, especially if there's time. Yeah, and we'd have 5 minutes, 10 minutes. At the end of the day, this person feels hard, but more often than not, they have the solution to the problem they came with.
It's good you mentioned time. I was going to ask,
Yeah.
how many hours do you have in a day? Because if your door is open and everybody comes,
Yeah.
then you have to go and sit with everybody and listen.
Yeah.
And your docket, it
Yeah.
can be tricky.
Yeah.
But together with that, how then does somebody else who is listening to you and say, my team is everywhere, or I have a big team, or I'm in a public sector and there are levels of hierarchy and protocols, can this still be done?
Yeah. So first of all, that hierarchy levels thing, you just need to drop it, break it. Like when you meet me walking or chatting with the guys going for lunch, you'd never know this guy is a CEO, unless you're told, right? So I'm not downplaying the importance of hierarchy in a place, but if you want to connect with the teams, you have to break the walls. Okay. Now, in terms of time, you have to be intentional about it. I'm very clear. If I have to provide time for my team, then I have to set it aside. If they call and they want to meet me, because there will always be an advance notification, I want to see Joseph, then I'll be intentional about it, about scheduling it so that a guy or a lady feels heard and knows that a time has been set aside for him or her, right?
Yeah.
So intentionality has to be there. You have to want to do it. You have to, and the guys will know. The guys will know huyu ni mtu wetu, and he gives us an ear.
Yeah.
And whenever you go with a problem, sometimes I don't have all the solutions at hand, but let's brainstorm and see what can actually work. Yeah, and like I said earlier, 95% of the time, the solution is actually the person,
With the team.
and all they need to do is to be heard.
Yeah.
Give them that ear, and all these walls will be broken down.
So active listening, leading with empathy.
Yeah.
Let's move to the business now. You
Yeah.
have a record of turning around business from making loss to making $1 million profits. For a business leader who is listening to you today and looking at the landscape we are in, the tough economic times, how do we turn this around? How do we remain profitable even through tough economic times?
Yeah, and I thank you for that question, because it's actually, we live in very tough times today. Whoever, one of those classes that I was telling you that so that the jargons come in, there's this thing called VUCA world. Yeah? So when I went to one of those classes and I had VUCA, I thought we were doing some VUCA tariff or something,
Yeah.
But we live in times that are unpredictable, times that have become tough. The Ukraines of this world, the COVIDs of this world, the drought, now moving from drought now into floods. It's always crisis after crisis.
Yeah.
And I think the game would always be to assess the situation, assess the situation, knows your strength as a company, have a clear strategic plan. Most of the times we jump in as organizations, firefighting. It's always about responding to one curveball after the next. But unless you have a clear strategic plan of where you want the organization to go, you've planned out as a team, and of course, the people aspect comes in, ensure that you have a strong team for you to achieve what you want. So once the vision is clear, it's in place, do you have a strong team that can be able to actually drive and achieve that vision, right? So that's very critical. So sometimes you come to organizations and you probably don't have that. Yeah. So you work at, ensuring either you bring the team that is present to that level, or if sometimes you have to change, then you have to change that team. So work with the team to ensure that the plan is actually executed. And as you go by, I think you find the juice.
You
comes
get the
in.
rhythm.
You get the rhythm,
Yeah.
and luck sometimes favors the prepared. So some luck will always come your way. See how you work on it. And while at it, most of the times we think we are the stars, we can do everything. No, if you have to seek professional help, I say seek professional help. Sometimes you want to come up with the greatest of strategies, whatever. If you have to seek a third-party professional who's good at, getting the best out of your team to articulate that strategy, seek professional help, to bring it all together. Then you and your team run to ensure that it's executed.
So are there some unique adjustments you have had to make at UNGA just to navigate the terrain that we're in?
Yeah.
And what innovative solutions have you had to come up with that maybe traditionally you wouldn't? I've seen UNGA on social media with sugar and products that you were not necessarily known for in the past.
Yeah.
So what are some of those adjustments you've had to make?
We've really had to step up. It's a very competitive environment today that we work in. I tell people every time I go to the market, I meet a brand of unga I'd never seen in my life, and especially maize meal.
Yep.
Every Tom, Dick and Harry
is
milling from the backyard.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's very competitive. And the question is, how do we cushion the business from these shocks that are going to continue over and over as we go by, right? And one of the things that we thought was, one, we're a heritage brand, been there for almost 115 years. How do we, our parents, us who grew up back in the day, know unga, jogo, X was our in thing. But how do we communicate and get in touch with the younger audience who know? And where do you find them? We find them on socials, right? From your TikToks to your Instagram, influencers. We're now going big on influencer marketing to be able to endear ourselves and communicate and get in touch with these guys so that, and these guys can be brand agnostic. So how do you bring them to, have that brand love, connect with your brand.
And can go south very quickly.
And can
with
go south very
social
quickly on
media.
socials. Yeah. So there's the reputational internet reputational management aspect that we need to also work with. So it's been a flurry of those, so engaging with a younger audience and innovating into new products to cushion ourselves from the shocks. That you've spoken about the Amana range of brands, from the sugar, from rice to pulses, now going into the spaghetti space as well. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do to cushion ourselves and set ourselves up for success into the coming future.
All right. As we talk about the younger generation, you're among the top 50 most influential CEOs.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say the younger generation can identify with yourself. What can you tell them in terms of the growth process? Because someone may think you just got lucky that you became CEO at 35 and not appreciate the work that goes into it. Sometimes we want quick fixes.
Correct.
Can you speak to a younger person who is ambitious, who wants to achieve this success in an environment where sometimes it's not very promising? How can they still drive?
No. So one, I think that younger person has to want it. Has to have the hunger for it. Today, don't accept what you're being labeled. You're being labeled a microwave generation. You want it instant gratification. It goes in, it comes out hot and ripe. I want to say that sometimes it's a journey. It's a journey of experience. You have to fail in your journey. There'll be setbacks that will put you down. They say that the Gen Zs, the millennials, are not as resilient. I want you to be resilient. I want you to know that challenges will always be there. But you have to, it's a question of how you rise and dust yourself off and move on to attack what it is that you're attacking. So have you positioned yourself for that leadership position? Are you a constant learner? Today, I tell my people every day is a learning process.
Experience.
So I keep myself abreast with what's happening in the day-to-day life. I am on audiobooks like crazy in my car as we navigate the traffics of Nairobi. I actually go and seek wisdom from those who've gone ahead of me, and even from the younger generation today. In fact, I was sitting with some young kids from a young kid from USIU, and I wanted to understand the psychological aspect of how I can talk to her on Instagram, for example, from a product perspective. And things they were telling me were mind-blowing.
Out of this world.
Out of this world, you know? And I'm like, wow, there's always something new to learn, and especially with the tech advancement in the digital age, there's always something new to learn from this guy. So keep yourself learning, have the hunger to grow, never ever give up. Never ever give up. It's gonna this life.
It always gets better.
It can only get better.
It can only get better.
It will throw you curveballs. You will think it's the end of the world. You want to get depressed. There's a lot of mental issues, mental health nowadays. No, pick yourself up. I'm telling you, the end, is gonna be sweet. And once you are at that peak at the mountain and looking back, it'll be all worth it. Even if you have scratches, whatever, the pains to, the scars to show for, it's scars that, show the journey of
badges
success.
of honor.
Badges of honor, that's the right word to actually put it.
All right. So what are some of the challenges you've had to surmount to get to where you are? And how do you navigate? Because you said they will still come. Be it at the, at the workspace. How do you keep going?
There will always be challenges. Challenges will come from different aspects. Say, for example, from work. My biggest challenge everywhere I go is competition. You land and there's some crazy competition that's coming. I am looking for that blue ocean company where I'm swimming on my own and there's hardly any competition. So there's been very challenging competition that I've had to face from the different players that I've worked with. And it's a question of every day, how do we navigate through such tough times? And it's actually been a growth opportunity for me. But then there's the challenge of, for example, handling the younger generation today. Yeah, and it's imperative on my leaders because I am too keen on people and how those kids are handled. And in fact, the Kenyan median age is around 19 point something,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So more and more of those guys are coming to
Are
our workforce
coming.
to our today.
They are our children.
They are more than 50% exactly of the workforce today.
Yeah.
So which means we have to attune our spaces to that kind of mindset. And sometimes you have leaders who probably are set in their own ways and cannot be able to adapt to the changing times. And so that's been a big challenge to try to change that mindset from the leaders who've gone before us or the leaders who we work with every day to be able to embrace that those kind of
the workplace of now and the future.
Workplace of now and the future, right?
What is it going to look like?
I think.
Or what does it look like?
It's actually it's a now question.
It's a now question.
So, for example, I run a business in the marketing space today. Yeah, and two different businesses, competing businesses. One where people work from home, and they don't know anything else. And then there's one who have the culture of, and I like that because it gets me to analyze the two
Both
kind
sides,
of environments, right? In terms of productivity. But more and more I see those ones that are working in the office having a very good culture. They have this culture of togetherness. The productivity is much more higher. These other guys, okay, they actually deliver and all that. But when they come together, the camaraderie is not quite there. The family type of setting that I see, they're kind of strangers, right? Yeah, so times are really changing. We're looking for, the kids look for places where Kingia start shooting pool before
before they can give the reports.
Yeah, there's a guy there who doesn't want ngoma in the office. There's one who wants some hip hop going. It's a whole different world. So how do we navigate and go through this? Those are the challenges we face today.
So for you in a factory setting, for example, how do you deal with this? Does it mean you will not have younger people in factories because they would need to be there? What are you doing?
No, it's a question of how do we adapt to those changing times. So it's a delicate balance. There's some things you can't do in a factory setting because of safety, health and safety stuff. But those that we can do, why not? Trying to introduce a fun kind of space. No, it doesn't have to be kwa sababu tunasiaga unga. It just looks pale and white. It can be colorful, it can be a colorful space where people enjoy themselves. Have those Friday. We have game nights, for example. I think last Friday of the month. I love game nights because that's when now I jiwachilia. I'm not
CEO.
Nobody's looking at me at CEO. Kucheza kadi, mimi ndio nawararua vibaya sana, when you have fun. If it's that or chess, we play the games and that's where you get to connect. That's where you know true colors. That's when you know how competitive your guys are. There are those people who never want to be beaten, to lose. And I'm kind of one of those people.
You can spot new talent in such settings.
Yeah, you see thinkers. You see people who get frustrated, so you know how to handle them in a serious environment outside this.
Okay. So what are we looking at for Joseph in the coming years? You said you have a plan. So what should we anticipate as we bring this to a close?
So for me, it's very simple. I think I've enjoyed my career. I've gone through the ups and downs of career. I've worked both in Kenya and outside. I think I have gotten to top of a listed company, a dream that I probably never imagined. I pinch myself, the kid from Lokichar Primary School today, where I am, and I'm saying I actually thank God and ask myself now, what can I do to better? So I believe today that I sit in presidential advisory committees here and there. Sit with other CEOs that I've probably never imagined, and I think I'm there because of education, right? And God has made it possible for me. So I ask myself, I look at, people say death is an equalizer. I think education is an equalizer and I want to give back as much as possible into the education space, and especially to those kids who probably never get the opportunity that me and you probably have, or our kids have today, so that they can be able to come and dine with kings at some point in their lives. So that's been more and more my focus now. that as I grow my own business, I want
You have to have a side hustle. You are
it's a
Kenyan.
Kenyan thing. You have to have your own side hustle. And I look forward to the day I actually. So my wife runs the business full time, but I want to see how it would look like. Me and her tukitoka asubuhi, we go to the same office and enjoy and create as much employment as possible within the Kenyan space.
That's a
Yeah,
good
we've
one.
been employed, so it's time to also create as much employment as possible.
All right.
Yeah.
A parting shot for HR professionals?
Yeah, so I think for HR professionals, I would say it's, I think great leaders is not necessarily about doing the greatest things. I think it's about you actually going out and bringing out the greatest things out of people that we lead. So just think about that, and you can be anything you want to be. HR leaders should take over their boardroom spaces and take over the CEO mantles. In various KCB has done well. Yeah, all the ceilings have been broken. The ball is on your court. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. Go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to end it. Thank
Yeah.
you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. Joseph Choge, the Group Managing Director, Unga Group. We thank you for taking the time to join the conversation, and thank you to our audience for taking the time to join Ripple by IHRM. We welcome you to join us on our socials as the conversation continues. This is a wrap. I want to thank our guest today, Mr. Joseph Choge, for making the time to be with us. We encourage you to look out for other episodes and to follow us on our social media platforms at IHRM Kenya. This was recorded at the Sarova Panafric, and we want to thank Kara Production for putting it together. I have been your host, Irene Kimashia.